Welcome back to today's video, guys. Today we're going to talk about the smallest province in Thailand for retirement. That's right. So we're going to take a look around here and see if it's actually livable. That's the big question. You know, a lot of places are great for tourists to come here for a holiday, but to actually live here permanently is a different story. The first huge thing to mention is, you know, are you going to actually rent or buy? And I think most people who come to this area or anywhere in Thailand, they normally rent to start with. And renting in this area can be tricky because it's quite a small province, as I say, the smallest in Thailand. And it is limited. When we moved here over 3 years ago, we couldn't actually find much that was decent to rent. Most houses here are for sale. So that's going to be one of your biggest pitfalls, I think. Now, there are apartments you can rent here. I'll put them on the screen. Now, we stayed here for about 6 months before we moved into this house. And this accommodation here, apartment, it was just a 1-bedroom apartment, quite small. It was about 5,000 baht a month. That was our rent, so we'd have to pay electricity on top of that. But this, as you can see, it's in the center of town here. And then we decided to actually, you know, buy this property here, which I'll show you at the end of the video, you know, with this garden here. And this property, and I'll go over the price a bit later on in the video. It was an option for us quite easily because I have a Thai wife over here. So I know this is not always available for a lot of you guys. You know, it is a bit harder to buy property in Thailand when you're not married to a Thai. I do appreciate that. But there are ways of doing this in Thailand still. So this house here is 2-bedroom. And as you see here, we've got a nice garden, a little garden, not a really big house. And, you know, there are houses all next to each other, so it is relatively a safe area. We are about 20 minutes from the centre of town, so we're towards Bangkok. And that's one of the good things about this area. You know, being the smallest province in Thailand, we're only 1 hour dead from Ceylon. So basically from here, which is, yeah, it is a little bit nearer to Bangkok than the main Samut Songkhram, so that's like 15-20 minutes away. But from here where I live, you know, I can get to Ceylon in 1 hour dead in my truck. This bad boy. You must have seen my truck before. Yeah, so I think that's blooming good because, you know, I can get to central Bangkok, which is blooming important sometimes. Sometimes I need to get to the city for different reasons. And the other way, I can get to Chiam, which some of you probably know on the channel, in 1 hour 15, depends how fast I drive, which is pretty good. So that's my nearest kind of beach. There is another beach actually around here, and I might show you today on the video. The next important thing, if you're living, you know, in this area would be, and you can probably tell I've just got changed because I've just been there. You know, some kind of fitness, health, how you keep yourself healthy when you're over here. And, you know, one way I go to this gym here, have a look on the screen now, this is Fast Fitness. It's a good gym, you know, it's 1,800 baht per month. It's probably not the cheapest gym in the world, if I'm honest. But the main thing what I love about this gym is, you know, it has all the equipment there. And they haven't actually got aircon, they've actually got just fans in there, big fans. But it's never that hot in there, to be honest with you. And they have a sauna there, and that's one of the main reasons I like to go there, because of the sauna. For me personally, I love saunas. And you might think I'm crazy because, you know, you live in Thailand, it's red hot, but no, I like a sauna. I like to keep myself nice and healthy. And I think this is very, very important. So that's one way, you know, one thing in the city that we have. City, can we call it a city? Yeah, very, very small city. And there's another gym there as well, but this is kind of the best one in the city. There's also a swimming pool in the city, a 50-meter swimming pool that I take the lads to quite often. That's fantastic. I go there quite often. It's dirt cheap to go in there. It's only 30 baht. I think 50 baht for adults and 30 baht for my kids. So very, very cheap. And another area I think is very important, you know, recreational, is just, you know, going to the park. So the local park in the centre. And have a look now. I'll show you now. The park in Samut Songkhram opens very, very early. Open about 4:30 in the morning, so very easy to come here for a run when it's nice and cool, and it opens late in the night. To be honest, every time I come it seems to be open, so you don't have to worry about that. It's a lovely big park, as you can see, and they have some fitness equipment over there you can use, which is nice. Obviously free of charge if you don't fancy using a proper gym. Well, it is kind of a gym, but it's not quite the same as in, you know, a health club, but it's free, so that's always good. So this park I come to quite regularly actually. It's like the main one in the center of Samut Songkhram. So if you're going to come here, then you're probably going to come to this park now and again, especially if you like walking or running. There's a nice lake in the middle, and literally the train station is just, you know, the train market that I showed you before is just down there. So the main road's there, which is a bit annoying, but yeah, all equipment here like this. It's all right, kind of basic, but all right. Some people like it to use this kind of stuff, so got your bench press and a few different bits. These are all over Thailand actually, they're quite funny. I'd prefer to use the proper gym, but this track is awesome for running around. We put this down last year, really good running track. So if you're into running, then I think this is a good bet. They quite often have stuff going on in the parks, like markets, especially certain times of year. As you just saw when we were driving in, you can see there's stuff going on. Never quite know, and then it can get a bit tricky for parking, but quite often come on the motorbike. Oh, can you just do us a favour, guys? Just subscribe to the channel, really helps the channel. Just press that red button, thanks. And back to the video. The next super important thing would be, the next important thing would be, you know, where you're getting your food from, where you're getting your shopping from, your markets, all this kind of thing. So I think the main two supermarkets we use in this area is Big C, which I say is in the main city, which is about 15 minutes from here, round about this. So there's a massive Big C there, open very early till late in the evening. And then we have Macro as well. I think they're the two I use the most at the moment. We also order a lot of stuff online. I mean, there's loads of other little supermarkets like Tesco, Lotus and other ones, but the two main ones I use are Big C and Macro. I think they're the best ones for me personally. But as I say, we get a lot of stuff online. Markets, there's a nice market that runs in Samut Songkhram Centre, but there are markets all over. And that moves on to, you know, the main kind of tourist area of Samut Songkhram, which is, first of all, the train market, which is a very popular area for tourists to come. Now, this is not going to affect you, but it's just a busy area that tourists hang out. When you're living here permanently, you know, it's just where tourists hang out to see the train market. It's pretty cool to go and watch it once or twice, but once you've seen it, that's kind of it. Now, the market around there is quite pricey, so there's a market around the back of there, a really good fish market I go to all the time. And it sells absolutely loads of different fish and very good quality. This area is actually very, very famous for seafood. It's very, very famous for seafood, this area, and there's some great quality seafood you can get from Samut Songkhram, guys. So that's a real, if you're into your seafood, and restaurants in this area as well. So there's no problems about, you know, different markets that are available. And, you know, the hub of Samut Songkhram is really the train market and what we call Ampawar, which is a little bit further out for the floating markets. But these are both just touristy things tourists do when they come here. When you're living here permanently, you don't really go to Ampawar that much. I never really do. The floating markets, I've been a couple of times since I've been here, 3 years. You know, more as a tourist. If you like markets, then okay, it's cool to go and see a couple of times. I took my brother when he came over from Australia. Took him there because it's kind of cool to have a look, as you can see on the video now. But, you know, there's local markets in the centre as well of town. Can you get Western food here? You absolutely can. You know, not as much as in Hua Hin, Pattaya, but definitely it's about, if you look around in the right areas, like near Ampawar and around that area, there's a lot of tourists, so, you know, there's a lot of Western food. But even around here, we can find it. Just have to look a little bit harder, so it's not as available if you wanted it. But Thai food are plenty. And, you know, one of the best things about living around here is, you know, the prices of things. You know, the price is very, very good value. I'm only an hour away from Bangkok, if you think about it like that. And, you know, the house price here, I'm going to tell you about our house here. You know, this was 2.2 2 million baht. So I'll put the price on the screen. We paid for this, 3 years ago now. Some might say, oh, that's expensive. Some might say that's cheap. It really does depend on the location, guys. In every area, even a kilometre down the road could be more expensive. But, in Samut Songkhram town centre, land is absolute fortune. So it really does depend. We are a little bit out, so this was a little bit cheaper here. Middle of Isan, it's going to be way cheaper than this. So it just depends. And we can go another few kilometres down the road and get land for dirt cheap. But I don't want to live that far away. You're in the middle of nowhere. This here is actually really good. We can get onto Rama 2 road. It's a kilometre away. So we can get on the main trunk road that runs Bangkok and down to Hua Hin. So, south and north, basically, in 1 kilometre away and get on that road, which I think is a good thing. If you live 15, 20 minutes down there, I think it's not as good. You're going to be wasting a lot of time. If you're travelling a lot and you want to get to that trunk road, depends what's important. If that's not important, then you can do for sure and get something cheaper out here. Also around here, there's a lot of salt lakes to a penny everywhere around here, and shrimp farms as well. We got one around the back of here. So it's very, very rural living around this area, and I think it is a very rural life living around here. And some people wouldn't want to live in a house like this. They'd say, oh, it's a bit small. But for me, I think at the moment it's perfect for us guys who live here. I think we're quite happy living in this house at the moment. We lived in a bigger house before and it's okay. We're quite happy in this house now in this area with my missus who works in the area. So it makes life easier for everyone, I think, now. I like to get to Bangkok quite often and I like to go to Hua Hin regularly. So we're like halfway in between. So for now, and both our lads are really happy in the schools they're at the moment. Obviously, I'm not showing the schools on here. I kind of share most stuff on here, but some things I just can't say in case, just for safety, to be honest. Yeah, and that's one of the main things. So I think if you're living out here, you 100% need your own public transport. I got my motorbike, I've got the truck, so we've got 2 forms of transport here. Is the buses? Yeah, the Song Towers down the end of the road for 8 baht, cheap as chips, but they're irregular, they're not, sometimes they come, sometimes they don't come. Sometimes my son phoning me up and saying, pick me up, there's no Song Tao come. There's the main bus station down in Samut Songkhram centre. So if you lived in the centre of Samut Songkhram, there's a bus station there. I'll show you on the screen now, and there's regular buses back to Ekmai in Bangkok and Morchid in Bangkok. And they don't take too long. As I say, it's only an hour away to Ceylon. So on the bus, you're probably an hour and a half because obviously depends on traffic and the bus goes a bit slower as well sometimes. Depends who's driving, to be honest with you. And we can go south from here, so you can get a bus and go south to Hua Hin as well, guys. I think living out here is not for everyone, I think it's very individual. We originally came here because my missus works here. That was the main reason. And are we going to stay here long term? I don't know. We're going to see what happens over the next few years. Depends on my missus' job, to be honest, like I said on a couple of other videos. I did promise I'll show you the house a little bit. Some things I can't show in the house, obviously, but it's just like open plan room here. So as you walk in through the main entrance, sofa table, and then outlooks onto fields at the back there. We've got 1 bedroom here, which I can't really show you because they're private bedrooms, and bedroom there, just small little bedroom. So it's a small little house. It's not big, and there's 3 bathrooms in the house. And say we've got a nice big garden at the front, and we've got a messy kitchen at the moment. My missus is going to kill me for showing you that. But yeah, that's kind of the house at the moment. So should you retire in a place like this, I think it's totally individual. I'm going to try and show you lots of different places around Thailand over the next few months, and this is just one of many, guys. Yeah, these rural places are quite different than in the middle of Pattaya or in the middle of Hua Hin. They are very different, but the value for money is excellent. If you can adapt to the Thai culture here and don't mind not having many foreigners. We actually have 1 foreigner who lives on this little estate here, an elderly guy. He's not that old, actually. He's only a little bit older than me. But, generally there's not that many foreigners around, apart from some tourists you'll see by the train market. And, in Ampawar, there's a lot of tourists there. Hope you enjoyed the video today. A little bit different from my area where I live in Samut Songkhram, guys. The next video is going to be from Hua Hin because we're going down there tomorrow, guys. So I'll hopefully do a video there in the next couple of days. So look out for that one. I'll see you in the next video. Take it easy, guys.